are B2B services. There's a service for battery extender on hardware goods for enterprise level companies, and those are the one NLA. Yes, the green.
What the small company, which is Ravensoft, what it does project and consulting to small and medium-sized enterprises plus big business. Basically, they articulate IT, hardware, and cabling into businesses, for businesses. And they also make two applications as products. Basically, it's battery-saving applications for laptops and desktops, and a battery-saving application for mobile phones. Mm-hmm. So now that's what the company does. The bigger company, which is Nordic, it also has got services, offers services, and it also offers two products as well. The services that it offers, one is basically it's reporting services to SMEs and e-business solutions, and it also offers these two products, AMAS and EMIMO. AMAS is
the scheduling.
Yes.
For ledger.
That's right here.
Why does AMAS ring a bell? I mean, why do I recognize that name?
It's a solution for change management and automation.
Yeah,
okay.
so they do that around.
Yes, and also EMIMO is an app for electronic circulation and approval of general ledger vouchers. So if, for instance, you're using as a company SAF or you're using Pastel, they integrate that into that system, finance system, accounting system. I mean. So when we were looking at what would be the pros and cons of the two merging, is
I think here we're taking us as being the bigger one, right?
Yes, we are here representing Nordic.
Okay.
Asking ourselves why we are acquiring the Ravensoft. Is because they do the installation, and it's
complementary, right?
Yes, it's complementary. They do the installation, and it will come at the back of that and do the service. It gives us bidding power for projects, full solution. We can do A to Z, plug and play.
Lifecycle.
Spectrum of services as well. Talent acquisition from the smaller operator.
Both personnel and technology partnerships.
Yes. Increased market share, and it presents growth opportunities for us.
Via financing and going after other opportunities.
Yes.
Easier access to financing.
Yes. The cons, potential cultural clash, which they've already demonstrated through as we're going through the case.
Even though they're the same countries.
Yes, even though they're in the same country. It's because they come from different spectrums of the same sector. Secondly is that during the merger there was it was around about 2008. So there's a recession period, and that affected. You will see in the numbers as we take we were just going through that at the moment.
So we were looking at the numbers that we were given, and my comment was, since Nordic is the acquiring company, we're not concerned with their financials. So we're going to pay attention to Ravensoft. And given the fact that this is 2008, which we're making the decision, and we don't have historical financials, we're not basing this decision off of the 2008 financials, at least not from a QLA perspective, simply because the EBITDA is negative, so it would be a next. So this is a other benefits that we're going to receive to do this deal. Otherwise, we wouldn't even consider it.
So for mergers, would you be looking in the bigger picture, right? How it works overall?
Yeah, I mean, and how this would lead to the next deal and the next deal.
Yes.
How we can use this as a platform. The fact that it made money in 2009 off of a loss from 2008 means that they did something to learn how to survive in the recession, because the recession went through 2009 into 2010.
The reason they started to make money as well is because it was starting to feed off our clientele.
Yeah. So one of the main things was Robinsoft, one of the main clients for 240 grand,
Yes.
become a customer of the whole group with services that Nordic was providing. So they got more revenue for that.
Just to point out, they bought the company this year, but they didn't integrate them. They were still run separately.
Okay.
And then in 2010 is when they actually integrated. So they have separate statements for 2000.
The other thing is Nordic, obviously their EBITDA went down 850,000 in 2009, but one of the things that they said in there is they were looking for an infusion of cash. And so what they did was the Ravensoft was cash flow positive, and they were able to get the financing to make the acquisition, and that also gave some ancillary cash for operating capital, etc. And they purchased revenue. And ultimately what happened was in 2011, all their numbers were up. Their revenue was up 60%. What was up 1,700% on page 26? Profit?
Yeah, 1700%.
Yeah.
But I think that this business case was done in 2012, so we've got things of what happened after the merger. So we can see what.
One of the other ancillary benefits, I know this because my family's in the software, is that it's one thing to have individual software developers or different things, but build it by a group of a team that's already been working together and have a proven track record is also a valuable asset as well. So that's one of the things that they were able to pick up, and it showed in the numbers in 2011 and 2012 that was a successful execution on their behalf.
So when we present to the class, would it be a case? Should we be going into what happened, or should we just say this is what we decided?
Then in what happened.
Okay. So what we would have decided on that.
Well, based on this.
Yeah.
Now, Nordic obviously had some strategic reason why they wanted this. Now, did the strategic rationale actually come to fruition? I mean,
It's reflected in numbers.
okay, well then
After they combined, you started to see
deals as well.
benefits.
yeah. Okay, and one of the things that people always overestimate the effectiveness of is how soon are you going to be able to implement these changes, and when are you going to be able to see the fruits of those changes develop into top line and bottom line. And everybody always underestimates how long it's going to take. Okay, they think it's going to be the greatest crazy optimist next 2 or 3 quarters. That's not going to happen. But normally it's 1 to 3 years you're going to see these changes, and to the extent that they've been able to recuperate or generate changes that are visible through increased revenue and increased profitability, that means the management team did a great job, good to great, and the culture didn't kill the deal. Okay, yes. When you see the numbers work out right away, that means they got along. Yeah. They were swapping bodily fluids, metaphorically speaking, from the get-go. Yeah. That doesn't happen too often, but it happens better with smaller companies. And as opposed to, again, my favorite is Time Warner or AOL, where they had huge organizations and they were run very, very differently by the 2 CEOs. And as evidenced when they started hiding off and the assets of that great merger. And that merger was heralded as the merger of, I think that's about 20 years ago now, around the turn of the century. It was heralded as the deal of the new century, and it wound up to be the biggest load of shit. Excuse me. And it's great, to be optimistic. But I mean, the reality has got to take hold that when you're doing these deals, it's not going to be so transparent that overnight in business is 1 or 2 years, not 1 or 2 quarters. Yes. And some of the changes that you'll make are going to be wrong, and you're going to figure out the pros and the cons, yada yada, and there's going to be more cons than you thought. Okay. And the pros that you thought aren't going to be as strong. And then somebody's got to step in, and there's never an easy time to make a hard decision, and the CEO or the founder is gonna make these decisions, and then the board, senior management with the board, is got, hey, you know, in my case, Dan, I mean, this thing, you know, and normally they'll couch it, we understand why you did this, but it's not working out.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, they'll show me, you know, and I don't fall in love with I fall in love with the bottom lines, but I fall in love with, you know, how profitable we are. I was like, okay, fine, let's change.
Okay.
Let's change, and let's, you know, you know, the worst kind of change is when, you know, the old saying, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times the changes are you're gonna have to take 1 step back. And in some cases, 2 steps back, you're back to ground zero. And those are the changes that, you know, reversing your original decision that are the hardest to make.
Do they have the most upside though?
Yeah, well, you don't do that unless they do have the upside.
Okay.
But again, you know, what happens is, you know, and I've done it myself, 3 or 4 times you make the change and it's still wrong. Okay, then, you know, you question, well, was this acquisition worth the shit anyway? And it depends, is the whole thing not working out, or is it just one aspect? And I'm of the belief that it's easier to cut out the cancer early to save the rest of the body. And and you know, I've seen, okay, like, and your cousins running that division, or that's why I don't like family, or your brother-in-law's running that division, or a guy that you went to school with running that division, and that makes it, you know, if you have any kind of humanity in you, I don't have much humanity, but if you have got any kind of humanity, those kind of decisions are hard.
So for arguably the opposite scenario, so you're, I was going to say like the Rick Scott story. So the first 2 acquisitions were terrible, but the third one was so good it made up for it.
Oh, the third one was a grand slam home run.
Did you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, I'll do it in the group.
Okay.
Ask me in the group.
One more thing, I don't know what your input is on this, but this is kind of like reading deeper into this deal. One of the reasons why this was maybe a sweet thing for Nordic to do is because Nordic, I know this, because again, being in software, that their biggest cost was their payroll. Was over half their revenue was payroll costs. Their average employee was receiving 71,000 euros a year. They were older, more mature group. The Ravensoft were younger guys out of high school, out of college, a little bit more maybe innovative or whatever. Their average,
50.
right?
Yeah, 52 or something.
Their average was like 46,000 euros per year, and so what Ravensoft did, they had a big jump, and then they had another dip in revenue, and then again it says that the next year it popped up again. They were trying to bring their overall cost of their payroll down to where after the merger or after the acquisition, their cost per person went from 71,000 euros to 59,000 euros a year. So,
Yeah, but I mean, unless people
had
take
younger guys.
early retirement, or you manage them out, that's not possible. Okay?
Or you
it seemed like they
operate in
booted
very
some of the
high
people out
value
because they were
areas. Otherwise, you can't justify those costs.
Yeah, and even though it sounds like the personalities, there wasn't any problem with the 2 different company personalities, but with somebody making 49 and somebody making 71, there are no secrets. Okay, and but I mean, and then you can give early retirement packages, which has a cost, and to manage some of those guys out. But normally, when you have an acquisition like this, you know, you're going to rank and yank, like Jack Welch made famous. You know, but you're going to rank all the employees, not just the new ones. You're going to rank all the employees. And the hardest thing is when you're the Nordic in the deal, and you're ranking the junior guys because of their effectiveness and their efficiency above your guys that are getting paid more money. That's a human resource nightmare. But I mean, but you have to get through it, and that's why human resource, although I'm not much on human resource, that's why human resources plays such a big role, a big greater role now. Because to manage out people, you know, and to manage out single mothers and all these other things, you know, and minority single mothers, and it goes on and on and on, and so the the human resource people are earning their money now.
But that's a common thing that happens obviously with these mergers and acquisitions, is that they just go in there and basically restructure the company to where they're one of their big goals is just to reduce payroll costs.
Yeah.
Personnel costs.
Sometimes that's the only leverage that you have.
Well, in 2008, that was.
Yeah, and I mean, there were a lot of people that were put out of work in 2008-9 that never got back in the workforce. They were still, in the unemployment lines. Okay, guys, you work on this. We'll see you at 2:15.